You, sir. Yeah. Eric, over the years, CSK have had like openers who are not necessarily being flamboyant at the top. So in that sense, how does Devon Conway fit in? And when you moved away from Fab, how did you, as a management, how did you zero on Devon Conway as an option?
The most important thing with T20 cricket is to find that individual's way of going about his job and then working your tactics around that. You don't want to try and make somebody to faff or make faff somebody else. You look at your players and you decide how they're going to play and how they fit and work together. So that's really what it's about. I think people get caught up sometimes in strike rates when people are hitting a lot of sixes and playing big shots. Other guys are able to manipulate the ball around, do it in different ways. You know, you shouldn't watch a Jinky Harani innings, for example, and it's a fantastic innings to watch. And then you look at his strike rate and you're amazed what it is. Somebody else on the other end might be hitting sixes and boundaries, but the strike rates are very, very similar. But the most important thing is to understand the individual. I mean, that's modern day coaching. Understand the individual and work a game and plan around it. You don't come to a tournament like this, pick someone like Devon Conway and then try and make him somebody he's not. You pick him because of who he is and you play with that strength and work with that. So find his answer to that role, or Rutu or whatever, and then the combination and how it works together, which has worked very well.
I mean, what is the strength of Conway?
Well, his ability to score in there are a number of things. I think he scores in good areas. I don't want to use the word strange, but in areas that are, he hits ball into gaps, which is very, very important. And I think he reads the game well. You're often sitting in the dugout and you're going, we need a boundary here, and he gets it. His ability to play square the wicket's good. I think that's a part of his strength. But then when you do pitch up, he goes back over your head. So I think that ability to manipulate the opposition. And I think that what I also find about him is his ability to score where the ball needs to be scored off. So he's able to manipulate the field, but if you give him the ball in an area, he's able to score in that area, whether it's use the pace or whether it's go straight back down the ground. His versatility and his difficult to bowl dot balls to, and that makes him a strength.
Yes, sir. Eric, after the last home game, Tushar won the purple cap with 17 wickets. But at the same time, the game was lost, and he also has someone who's gone for over 11 runs this season. So what kind of conversations you have when someone has two extreme kind of results?
So we again, it's not a cliche. We look very, very much at execution of plan. And if you actually look at every single ball he's bowled, and we do that as a coaching team, as a bowling coaching team, and with a bowler, he's been unlucky. He's got balls in good areas that have gone to boundaries. He's had a few drop catches, and then you analyse and you take those out of the equation, and then the numbers are not as bad as maybe they seem. Some guys will bowl the ball in good areas, get for six, and some will get a wicket. We'll celebrate execution before we celebrate outcome. So he's growing as a bowler. There was things about his last innings, for example, in Lucknow now that we were very pleased with. Just one over, but little things that we spoke about trying to improve on. So it's that growth all the time. But we don't just get caught up in the numbers. Sometimes we can bowl a really good power play and go for 55 or 60, and other times bowl an ordinary one and go for 38 or 40. It's about that execution. And when you execute consistently, then you'll get the rewards. He's growing all the time as a bowler. People are going to target him because they're scared of our middle. That's the way it is. But he has a job to do, and he's done it very well. So the execution of a plan is very, very important. And I think he has been unlucky with some of the boundaries that he has conceded, which has knocked that number up a bit high.
Yeah.
Hi.
How does the side plan to combat Mumbai's power pack batting lineup, especially someone like Suryakumar Yadav when he's on song? It's very difficult to hold to them. So how do you plan?
If I tell you the tactics, you won't tell them. I mean, the tournament has now moved along, and I think I said last time when I was spoken to you, this tournament changes within the period of the tournament. So things that we were doing at the start are not working anymore. We had a long conversation today about what I call the red zone of batting, when batters are in that red zone and you need to control them. So we have got ideas, and it's not always a tactical plan. It's about mindsets. It's about understanding of the game and the situation. One of the most important things when you make your decision is what's my strength. And so we must look at our strength and say, which one can we choose to use against this individual? Where do we want to make him score? What are the conditions asked about the toss? What are the conditions allow us to do? So we take all those into account and we make our plans. But a plan that might not be ideal that we can execute is better than the perfect plan we can't. And that's the basis we work from. So we look at what we can do and we go about that. We have to understand that in the modern game, in this IPL, it's intimidating. Remaining calm and not allowing yourself to get into that panic zone is what is important for us as bowlers, and what we literally spoke for a long time about it at our planning meeting today. It wasn't just about the tactics, but just a mindset as well.
Yes, sir.
Coach, like a lot of these young bowlers have started out as net bowlers like Tushar, like Solanki and Akash Singh. Like they made a lot of progress over the last couple of years. So can you just talk about the growth behind the scenes to sort of get them up to match intensity level they are now from what they started as net bowlers?
I think if you can, we often talk about trying to create a family at CSK, and I think we are a family. I think that's an important part of it, and part of our family are net bowlers. They're not just guys that come and bowl; they become part of what we do. We challenge them all the time. We're advising them as well as much as we can. The better they bowl to our batsmen, and all the time we're looking. We don't know, in this country of yours, there's just so many unbelievable cricketers out there that bowl to us in nets. And sometimes you'll unearth them for different reasons. Sometimes it's just a mindset. Sometimes it's the way they do certain things. But I think they feel, I'd like to believe that in our environment they feel comfortable, and that they feel that it's not just a case of serving the batsmen and serving us, but also something for them to grow from and be part of. So, I think that environment is the initial stimulation for them to go. And as much as we can, we try and give them information that we can, and they go away. And a lot of guys, as a coach, you can just give someone information. What they do with them is up to them. And a lot of these guys do take it and go and work, and then they come back in 12 months' time, or you look at them in the domestic season, they do really well. Then they've used that information, because information is only useful if you use it. So it's been encouraging to see that. And we recognize as well that this is a wonderful source of great bowlers for us to look at. So we respect what they do for us, but we also respect the fact that they could become the next CSK bowler.
Last one. Last two, sorry. Yeah, you, sir.
Eric, what is the best way to keep big guys like Tim David at bay? He uses his extraordinary reach to his advantage.
Every one of them is different. There's no one answer. And again, as I said, what started in this tournament is not the same as now. Tactics have changed. What we used to do a year ago, or last tournament, we don't do anymore. We've got different ideas and different tactics, different field placings. So for each bowler and each batsman and each condition, there's something different that we will use. But the game has got to a place where if you can go for 4 instead of 6, you save 2 runs. And sometimes that might be the tactical conversation. How do you force him into an area to score 4 and take away 6s? That's just part of the conversation that we have. But a lot of people talk about how tough it is to be a bowler, but we were actually talking today how exciting a time it is, because I think batsmen have now kicked ahead. Now it's for the bowlers to catch up, and they will. And we'd like to be the team that catches up first.
Last one.
Eric, 3 games ago you were within striking distance of a playoff. Now really tough 4 games coming up. Fortunately 3 at home. So what do you say to the youngsters, especially in order to reset and because now the pressure is really heating up. So how do you tackle that, especially with the young inexperienced bowlers attacking?
In the far corner of our dressing room sits a guy by the name of MS Dhoni, and if you look across there, there's just calmness. And that's the best example you can possibly have. And this tournament, again, is funny. It's not often a team just races away and qualifies and goes on to win it. Often it's a team that's battle-hardened by the time you get there. So, maybe it's not a bad thing for us to come through a situation where we have to now get into tough matches. We need to fight for each other. We need to learn how to battle through that. And then having the example of our captain, who's very calm, and that's the best chance you've got, is to learn that calmness. So it's a bit like the bowlers. It's not just about tactics, it's about mindsets, because they can all do it. The blockage between what they can do and what they do in the middle is what I call noise in the system. Our job as coaches to get rid of the noise so that they actually perform to their potential. And sometimes it's at this stage of the tournament, it's not so much tactically, it's about finding that place that they can actually be the best they possibly can. But it's not a bad thing in the IPL, in my experience, and over all the years I've been involved, to fight your way into those qualifying positions, because you arrive there as a battle-hardened team, and that's probably the best thing to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.